how would you feel if all higher learning institutions were abolished and replaced with on-the-job training? And do you think that would change the way some young people feel about entering the workplace?
You ready? So in my opinion, if you were to replace all of the high-level institutions with on-the-job work training, I do believe there would be certain trades such as engineering, such as your sculptors. You'll have certain people definitely that, like the computer experts, the computer engineers. When you talk about nuclear, you're definitely going to have your field where certain people definitely are required to go to school. But on-the-job training, I think, is definitely an opportunity. It gives another path to those that don't want to necessarily take a 4-year education.
Right, to do the same thing. Now, what if this, now I'm talking about an organized system where people's aptitude will be, you know, judged and looked at real closely.
Yes, sir.
And so therefore, are you still saying even with a program like that, there's some jobs that require college?
I think
like the engineering that you were talking about, or nuclear stuff, all of that stuff can be on the job training if the person's aptitude is equal to, you know, for doing that. Do you think? Do you think that those jobs really do require college?
I think some of them do, in my opinion. Like if we're talking about engineering, that's something that you need to be skilled in mathematics to do. And I feel like sometimes on the job training, that's something that they can't teach you. That's something you have to be intentional about learning. That's something that cannot be accelerated, but it needs to be focused on. And like I said, intentional. Like just be intentional about it. Like I don't think that's something that should be accelerated via a program like that.
I understand what you're saying. For safety purposes and
and just you know, companies and all these, they want like thorough engineers. They want, you know, people. I mean, you won't want to set anybody up for failure.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
definitely, you don't want to set anybody up for failure. So me personally, I'm already a superintendent. I've worked in the field, like you said, the on-the-job training and such has very much helped me as far as managing the project, controlling the contractors and things like that. However, when it comes to an actual scope of practice of engineering, when you're talking about knowing the load magnitude, knowing the capacity of your bridges, knowing your outlook and your measurements, and knowing your formulas for the calculus,
can't get that kind of understanding on the job training.
That type of understanding unless you sit down in a classroom, take the time to have it out, and that's why, you know, it is a respected field, and there's a reason why that degree carries the way that it does.
I see.
But at the same time, you know, my experience, it helps a lot. But certain things, you know, you give those respects to those degrees and such like that. And I do think that, you know, there's a reason why they
have it set up that way.
Yes, sir.
I got you, man. And now I do appreciate you taking the time for this.
Like if they abolished all college institutions, I don't know if that would benefit everybody. I feel like some people, we're not going to be able to have any doctors or lawyers or attorneys. Some people do need education, go to school to find a better life. Now, other people, on the other hand, people that want to work in trade, we do need essential workers as well. So I just don't feel like it would. I don't feel like it would.
So you believe that college, is higher learning can't be how can I say this? Transition into a trade type of work on the job site.
Yeah, I think for certain things like colleges benefit students like for things outside of learning, just like experiences. I think that thing can't be replaced with just apprenticeships.
Right. All right, I understand what you're saying. There's an experience you just don't get on the job of camaraderie and communication and commute. Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, man.
I can't just repeat what I just said.
Yeah.
Sure. I might not be the person to answer that question, but I know that there's a lot of great people who can answer.
All right. But you think that's a good question for college kids? I hear you, man.
That would change the way people feel about entering the workforce. Me personally, one of the reasons why I did come to college was for the experience. It's definitely been a great experience. Honestly, the brotherhood / just being able to get to know myself more before taking life so serious. Not to say that this isn't serious. I'm putting myself in $50K in debt a year, so this is very much serious. What was the other part?
Well, do you think it's a good idea to replace higher institutions for on-the-job training? And you just said that you think the camaraderie. And I think you're the second person that mentioned that, the camaraderie and the brotherhood.
The camaraderie and brotherhood is definitely number one, at least personally for me. Honestly, I don't have any arguments against it.
Now, what if some young person who don't want to go to college and who doesn't have the college aptitude they want to be an engineer, but they're good at catching on to doing things with their hands, but it takes a college degree to actually get a job in that. But they really have an aptitude for it, but not college.
I mean, if you're looking at that, then you're gonna need to restructure the way businesses go about doing that. Because, like you said, specifically with engineering, you definitely need that education because it's important. Like, you just don't want anybody designing a bridge.
Right.
Like, that's not how this is gonna go. At least that's not how the world should go in this place. So you're gonna need to think about how you're gonna restructure your workforce to where they build up to instances like that.
Right.
And you're gonna want to make sure that they're smart enough to do that in the first place. If I'm being honest, that's all I can really say about that.
And you said enough, and that was really well said. I appreciate it, man.
How some young people feel about entering the workplace. If they had like on-job training, I feel like it would like let the job market be more saturated with like more people, and like some older people and some like younger people would have easier times getting into jobs, and like college wouldn't be as, I mean, college would still be nice, like you would probably still be good for the credentials, but they would have an easier time being able to like get a job like that.
Okay, so college actually creates a barrier in some sense.
Yeah, because like you can't get some jobs without certain degrees or like being certain ages.
Right, and at the same time, you could not necessarily have a higher learning and still do the job.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it can create a barrier.
Yeah, I think if they like if like certain degrees like weren't as required, it would be like it would allow for like more people to be able to get like higher paying jobs.
Okay.
Or enter better job markets.
Okay. All right. Good answer. Thank you.
I'd be fine with it.
Yeah, I would think it would change it. It'd be better for us to get a higher and better education.
So it wouldn't, you don't think abolishing higher education would actually interfere with the strength of the job market?
Well, I think it would. I feel like that's why there's a difference between trade school or vocational school and like institutions like where we go, Morehouse College, and even graduate programs and doctorate programs. I feel like if you abolish those, then that minimizes the amount of jobs that you would be able to be qualified for. So not everything is a trade. Say, for example, somebody wants to be like a metal worker. That's a trade. You would go to vocational school for that. Say, for example, somebody wants to be a stockbroker. If you only train in that field, then that limits your worldliness, which can also interfere with your job as a stockbroker too, because you have to be not only in tune with what you do like technically, but also the nature and the health of the stock market, stuff like that. So I feel like eliminating a holistic education from a higher education institution minimizes that, as well as even social skills. Like we saw stuff like that with COVID and everything, how it diminished a lot of people's social skills, and that hurt their opportunities, like in interviews not being able to explain themselves well or be well spoken or even be personable. Those factors play into that, and I feel like college teaches you that.
Really? Okay. Well, you said that really well.
I think if we were to abolish higher learning and replace it with just directly work to pipeline, it makes it feel very forced and doesn't give you the choice to explore and learn and just know more about yourself and just have the freedom of choice and free will.
So higher learning actually gives you a feeling of freedom that you say you wouldn't get if you just got out of high school and went right to a job that taught you how to do the same thing college is.
Exactly, because in college, especially if you live on campus like at Morehouse, it's just an environment that you're not used to and that you have to get used to, and you have to develop the relationship with people that will become friends. But if you do work, you're just learning how to operate things, not really learning about life. You're learning about work life, quote unquote, but not actually how to be mental and physical life outside of work, and that's what's important.
The camaraderie and the learning, the brotherhood. I heard a lot of people mention that.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
What was the second question again?
Well, do you think that if that was to happen, would it change the way some young people feel about going into the workplace? Because a lot of young people don't want to go to work for the simple reason they don't have the abilities to go to college and get the jobs that they really want. So will that change the way they think if it was said that, hey, you can come here and do the same job, get paid well, and not go to a higher learning institution? Do you think that would have anything to do with anything about how younger people feel?
I think it would, because me personally, I am a business administration major, and I want to own my own business. So me going to the workforce, although it's advantageous to me and I want to do it, that's not something that I want to do forever. So it wouldn't necessarily benefit me to go and do 4 years of training when I don't plan to spend 4 years in the workforce,
Right.
traditional workforce.
Okay, I hear you, and I understand where you're coming from with that. I appreciate you taking the time.
No problem, thank you.
All right, no problem.
So I wouldn't say that replacing higher learning with on-the-job training would be the best of ideas. Students would get into their job more prepared to work in whatever specialty that is. But the thing about college and any sort of higher learning, it helps you develop a sense of grit and adaptability. So whenever you get into the workplace, then you're not just working and don't know how to adapt at all. So
Give you people skills.
And it would be, so there's pros and cons to polishing higher learning and just going with workforce training.
Okay, and young people probably that's not going to college and is getting out of high school. If they had that option, do you think they would probably feel the same way you feel about it?
Yeah, they wouldn't feel the same about going to college if it was replaced with just workforce training. It would be a whole lot more students, or a whole lot more people
in the workforce. That's what somebody else said.
college.
Somebody else said the same thing. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a good answer. Anything else you want to add? All right, man. I appreciate it.